so excited and encouraged by that. I started getting stronger, and then it was time for me to wean off things, and it was like, yes, I got my life back. This is great. And then weird things happened. I had a slip and fall during the winter, and then we got a new car, and it's lower, and the act of getting in just kind of whacked out my back, and all of a sudden I was right back to the same pain that I was in before. But this time I had also had some tooth issues, and so I saw my dentist, and he gave me some Percocet, and I realized that works even better than the Norco. So then I was on morphine and some Norco at times, but also some Percocet. Tried a little Dilaudid to see if that might help. Then I went on some Lyrica to see if that would help the nerve endings. Pretty soon I began to feel anxious a lot, like out of control. Like I just, this whole life, I just couldn't keep up with it. So I was prescribed some Xanax for a little anxiety, and then I wasn't able to sleep, and I went in to see my primary doctor, and I was a wreck. I just was like, I don't know what's wrong with me, and she's like, well, maybe you're not sleeping, so let's do a sleep study. And that's when we discovered that I had leg movements 170 or more an hour, which would wake me up close to every 6 minutes. So I never got into that REM sleep that's regenerative, and so that was another reason I wasn't clear. So it wasn't just the narcotics and all the other types of medicine, it was that I couldn't sleep either. So then I got a CPAP machine, had that, you know, strapped in, and working, and that seemed to help for a little while. And then the depression just started in again. Like, I'm 38, I have a CPAP machine, I'm on 9 different medicines. This is crazy, you know, and it just kind of, everything just came to a head, and it was almost as if I was on a moving sidewalk, because my path was going. I didn't realize I was moving on this journey, really. I don't know how else to describe it other than it just like cleared a little ways, just so I could see past, you know. And hearing a story about how one woman who was swimming across the English Channel, and she was almost gonna make it, and she just couldn't anymore, and there was so much fog, and then after the fog lifted, she realized she was only 10 minutes away from the shore, and she would have made it. She's like, I could have made that, you know, but she just couldn't see. And that's how I was completely consumed with my own pain, and my family just suffered, and it was something I didn't really ask for, but it was also something that I couldn't help, and yet I knew that I had to do something, because this wasn't the way. I knew that this wasn't what God had planned for me. And finally I got it on the inside that God's grace was given to me over 2,000 years ago. He knew me before I was born. And so if I just believed, and I could hang on to that grace that he had for me, that blessing that I couldn't see, but I knew that I had it, that's what really started the change. And then the song started repeating that same message of hope. Hang on a little longer. You know, you're in the boat, the waves are crashing in, you just grab on and you hang on. I thought, oh, that was my hope, and now it's gone. And then it was just like I switched off. I was mad. It was almost like a righteous indignation, and I was like, well, I have to change something. And he said, well, you know, the surgeon that you had talked to before had said that perhaps all this medicine is making your brain have the pain. Maybe you're addicted to it, not realizing that you're addicted to it. And I'm like, let's do it. So I kind of misunderstood. I thought he meant everything, so I went cold turkey that day. I didn't take Lyrica, I didn't take Cymbalta, you know, and all the ads say, don't stop taking without knowing your doctor. Yeah, did that. Had a few psychiatric events. The first day was okay. The pain started setting in a little bit. The next day, I don't remember a whole lot except for just convulsing, sitting in my chair, and I was so fortunate that my parents, they're in their 70s. I mean, they're not used to having little kids run around all the time, you know. They came up so that they could take the day shift and watch over me so I didn't, you know, do anything crazy, and help get the kids. And of course I choose the first week of school to detox, which, you know, that's always a crazy time anyway. I've never been good for timing. And anyway, I just the whole time KTSY is in my head, so that's all I'm thinking about. I'm just focusing on God and God's love and what God says about me and the hope that God has and in store for me and my new life. Forget about what happened before. Think about what is happening from now forward. And I got through it. I ended up having to go to the hospital one time, which I don't remember, but I was pretty psychotic, where I would get up at 3 and I'd turn on all the lights and start the coffee maker and get the lunches ready and shout down the stairs. And my husband was just so tender, and he had to go to work all day and then come home and have the night shift with me. And he would come out in the kitchen and he'd be like, "Oh honey, you know what? We have a little extra time. Why don't you come snuggle me?" And that's about the only thing, because if he would have said, "What are you doing?" I would have been like, "You know it's time to go. So he just knew the right thing to say at the right time. And I was like, "Oh, we do? Oh, okay, I'll come snuggle you." And then an hour later, I would just be too fidgety that I had to get up, and I didn't want to wake him up. But every day for 2 weeks, he got up, went to work, didn't tell a soul, was really not sure what was happening, but was so happy that when we took those morphine pills and dumped him in the coffee filter and dumped out all the stuff, it was a freeing moment. Fast forward for 2 weeks, I was making it, and every day I got stronger. And then Laura's story came on with her song of blessings, and sometimes our blessings come through tears and they come through pain, and there's all that, but it is a blessing. And I realize that now, that even though I had to go through all this, that journey was meant for me, and it was mapped out for me, and it was meant for me to get healthy, and it was meant for me to be able to share God's love with other people that are struggling too. I feel so very blessed and very humbled all at the same time, and I couldn't thank KTSY enough for that comfort day and night. Like you said, it's a family. That family's there. You know, I didn't have to call up Travis and say, I just had, you know, I knew when he came on the radio, and I was able to listen to him then, and I was able to listen to him at 7 in the morning, and all those things were predictable.